So, how do you stand out in a world of startups? In this new exciting world, anyone can be an entrepreneur if they have a big idea and the tools and attitude to succeed. So, that's where Bond comes in. Now, joining me at the desk is Assistant Professor of Entrepreneurship, Dr. Baden to talk all about entrepreneurship at Bond. Now, I actually studied entrepreneurship as a subject, I absolutely loved it. What do you think the key things are in terms of what you need to be an entrepreneur?
I think you nailed it right when you started, Candice. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are everywhere. That's what we do know. It's not like a business student or someone who's really good at math. You have entrepreneurial creatives, you have entrepreneurial lawyers, you have entrepreneurial doctors, you have entrepreneurial psychologists that set up their own business and expand into multiple clinics. So what's sitting behind there is actually a bit of a way of thinking, a discipline in the way in which entrepreneurs identify opportunity and go out and grasp that opportunity, and it doesn't necessarily align to a particular discipline.
That's really amazing to hear. It almost means that this knowledge is applicable across every single industry, really.
Oh, without question. And I think even more today, where change is so constant, where new technologies are coming through that are enabling us to deliver a customer experience that is better and better, almost every day. Every single person within an organization, whether you're in HR or whether you're building aeroplanes, it doesn't really matter. We're all focused on delivering values to customers, and so you can do it from any particular region within a business.
That's actually so true. And right now we're broadcasting all over the world. So that's just an example of, it's just a thought and it can happen now because of technology. Why do you think that entrepreneurship is such a hot topic right now, this year, really?
Yeah, so I think it's been building over the last decade, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been building momentum as technology changing business has been building momentum, and so we see the standout sort of business pioneers transitioning from traditional industrial organisations that dominate big industries into niche players that are turning up billion-dollar businesses. You talk about the Mike Cannon-Brooks and Scott Farquhars of the world with Atlassian, $30 billion company, or Mel Perkins with her boyfriend Cliff Obrecht, who do Canva. Many of our viewers will use Canva for their design.
Yes.
Started while at university, built an organisation based on technology, and so we're starting to see these aspirational business people going out and having a bit of a go at something they're passionate about with a real entrepreneurial spirit, and I think that's really resonating with today's generation.
There's sort of a stereotype that to be an entrepreneur, you either need to be that really creative person that just wings it all, or you need to be that really logistical, mathematical mind type of person. Do you think that's true? Do you need to be either of those extremes?
I think you definitely need a superpower.
Yeah.
Now, whatever what that superpower is, it might be the creative streak, but you can't just be creative, right? It might be you're just numerically brilliant, but a numerically brilliant person who can't relate and can't translate and transform that knowledge into a customer outcome is not going to be successful. So what we do see in entrepreneurs is they tend to be, yes, they have some kind of inner superpower. Like you can instantly see it, you feel it with an entrepreneurial individual like that. They're pretty special. But they have this beautiful ability to be able to integrate and collaborate and communicate where their specialty lies and encourage others to come on board to have an entrepreneurial outcome.
And what does innovation mean to you?
So innovation is really broad. I think it's one of those things that's put out there, like the government said, the innovation agenda or whatever, right? And it's really important for us to know what innovation is. At its core, innovation is just something new that creates value. And both of those are relative, right? You can have something that's only a little bit new. You can have something that's like transformationally new. So there's this spectrum that exists on novelty and also value. Like you can be an entrepreneur doing an existing business model just a little bit better, right? And you're delivering an innovative solution that makes the customer experience better or improves back-end process, or you can be Elon Musk and you can, trying to colonize Mars. It doesn't really matter where you are. The same discipline sits behind.
Apart from entrepreneurship, the obvious one, what other subjects are sort of aligned in this field?
So the good thing is that there is a discipline that sits under entrepreneurship. We know it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a degree that you can study to understand, and that is blended across a lot of transdisciplinary skills. Because as we said, entrepreneurs are everywhere. It requires not just accounting knowledge or economics knowledge, but you also need graphic design. You also need to understand creativity and where good ideas come from, because the root of any good entrepreneurial business is a new idea. So when you first start your entrepreneurial major subject in the Bachelor of Business, one of the first subjects you do is called creativity innovation. And we run you through little exercises on how to come up with a new idea, what qualifies a really good idea, and how you can validate that. Yeah.
I'm sure there are people sitting at home with their notepad writing down all their ideas. This sort of conversation gets me really excited about, the future and what there is. I was just wondering what sort of trends are happening right now? What should people jump onto? Which doesn't sound very entrepreneurial of me, but what sort of trends are there right now?
Well, entrepreneurs are the masters of finding new waves and catching those waves, right? So I think you need to be across trends. You need to be understanding machine learning and how it sits underneath AI. Even if you're not the mathematician that knows how to do it, you need to understand how that works and how it can be used. So you should be reading like the popular press around new technologies. What is blockchain? How can it be used? Is it good for supply chain? Is it good for currency? Where does it apply? How about robotics? How about nanotechnology? What about all these technologies that are coming through? You should be having your eyes open for what they are and what they do and what their potential is, and then be across being able to have an across the coffee table conversation with people. Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about your study tours?
Yeah, the study tours are just the most epically amazing experiential education experiences. Like they're just, you actually go and feel the theory in place when the organizations we go to. We go to large, like we go to Uber, we go to Twitter, we go to Facebook, to Google. We go to the large organizations and we see how massively innovative companies are working, how their teams work, how they structure themselves, the environments that they set up for their employees. And the students that go across actually feel that. They get to talk to mostly Bond alumni actually that are in those companies, and they get to get the inside word on the way those companies work. And then we also see little startups, and we see startup environments, and we see where new ideas typically sort of start and gain traction. And you can actually see how the big companies are really just trying to pretend they're small companies. They're trying to maintain that nimble, agile edge that a startup has, even though Google are 80,000 employees, right? They still work in little self-managed work teams of 8 to 10 people trying to replicate that startup advantage.
We graduate quite young here at Bond University. I think I was just 19 or 20, which is so young. Do you think entrepreneurs are becoming younger now because of technology? You've got some 13-year-old millionaires running around, right?
Well, look, there's no doubt that just starting is the best way to start the entrepreneurial journey, and the sooner you start it, the more you start and the earlier you start to learn. I can't encourage young people enough. If they've got a little bit of an insight, a little bit of an idea, have a bit of a go. Like, it's so easy to set up a Shopify account these days and drop ship out of Alibaba. Like, have a go, see what that looks like. Start learning budgeting. Start learning about customs processes coming in through the Border Patrol of Australia. Start learning about customer complaints and customer service, and do that while you're at high school, let alone when you come to Bond. Start that journey early, and you start learning early.
And then what's the future of entrepreneurship?
It's everything.
Yeah, it's a hard question actually, isn't it?
My view is, you actually see it in big business these days. They're all attempting to drive an entrepreneurial strategy. They're attempting to replicate the unique advantage that a startup organization has in terms of culture, in terms of the way that they're flexible and they're agile, and the way that they are able to relate to new trends coming through industries, to relate to customer feedback on the way in which products should be delivered or they should look, much more effectively than a large organization can. And so many big businesses these days are investing so much money and so much talent into trying to replicate the entrepreneurial journey. The modern business is an entrepreneurial business.
And do you believe that you can just work wherever you want all around the world?
I think there's a lot to be said for the community and the tribe that you surround yourself with. So yes, you can be a bit of a digital nomad, but we find with digital nomads, they still like to have this, I need to be near around people that are doing the same sort of thing. And I think we're going to see a new version of an organisation. And I mean, we talk about the Gold Coast and how magic this place is. We see startup organisations locating themselves here in Burleigh Heads because they know they can be a bit of a virtual organisation. They can have people working in Mongolia or Estonia, but here is HQ, and this is where everyone comes together, and they choose to go down and surf Burleigh Point and go out into the wilderness, into the hinterland, or do whatever, because this is the place to be. I think there's a new organisational form that is emerging with a central cluster where activity forms around, and increasingly digitally created interactions with employees. Yeah.
Well, I like the sound of a beachfront office myself. That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll let you get back to it. I'm sure there's lots of people with questions for you after this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Candice.
Thank you.